Got that in spool. You know, sometimes people say you can't see the forest for the trees. And I guess it's that way of saying don't overlook the obvious and fail to see the big picture. That sometimes applies when, it comes to fishing boat docks and piers. Anglers often pass them up, maybe simply because they are so obvious. Don't make that mistake. Fish are object-oriented after all, and there are plenty of these objects at most reservoirs that we fish. Now, a major draw for fish are docks and piers located next to deeper water. Rod holders, night lights, and fishing tackle on docks might also hint that added fish attractors have been submerged all out around the dock. So be sure to check it out. And one good way of doing that is idle around the dock with your graph and look for submerged cover and then come back later and fish it. Okay? I've always said if you want to catch a gigantic snook, come to Stuart, Florida. This is a place to do it. And I caught my biggest snook here several years ago, and I've never come here that I hadn't caught a lot of snook. I always teamed up with you, and this is a place I've always done it.
I think Stuart, Florida is probably the best area for catching a big snook almost any time of the year. What we're going to be doing today, Bill, is we're going to be taking live baits and we're going to be free lining them. We're going to be pitching them around boats, we're going to be pitching them around docks, we're going to be pitching them around piers. But I think we're going to catch some fish. It's just a matter of can we, the whole key to this is the further back you can get it underneath the structure, the better chance you're going to have of getting a bite. And a lot of people don't understand that. And when I get clients on the boat, I tell them, sometimes 12 inches makes a big difference. And it really does. If you can only get your bait to the edge of the dock or the edge of the boat, sometimes if the snook aren't aggressive, they won't come out and eat it. Sometimes they're aggressive and they'll chase it all the way and they'll eat it right next to your boat. So sometimes that 12 inches makes a big difference, but that extra 12 inches also puts you in a position where if that snook takes a right-hand turn or a left-hand turn when you hook them, you're dealing with barnacle-encrusted pilings, you're dealing with barnacles on the bottom of boats, so you break a lot of fish off doing this. This is not the easiest way to catch them, but it's the most challenging and the most satisfying. This is my favorite way to do them, pitching live baits around the structure.
It's all up under that boat.
There he is. That's a snook. That's a snook. Come on, Bill, get him out. Come on, Bill. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Hey! There's the jumping stuff. Go ahead and bring him on this side. I'll get him over here. Yay! Hey, hey! What's up, little dude? They're tough. They ain't that little. Tell me that's not like a bass.
Like a small
That's
now.
a saltwater bass, isn't it?
Like a smallmouth.
All right. Aye. 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 Come on. I'm going to turn you loose. I'm going to turn you loose. Let me get the claw on you. Hey, hey, hey.
Now, why can't we hook those big ones like this?
We will. About a 4 or 5 pound fish. Got the mouth, big mouth, sandpaper teeth, and that gill plate right there is what'll lay you open. That thing right there is sharp, sharp, sharp. See you, dude.
Toodaloo.
Thank you, thank you. Hey, hey. We're getting there.
We're getting there. A lot of fishermen see a fallen tree near the bank, up against the shoreline, and what they do, they move in and they fish the immediate trunk or portion visible above the waterline. What they do, they also neglect to fish even further out from the bank where there's actually more cover all matted up, but not nearly as visible, if at all. Don't neglect this cover. And there's lots of it out there. If you don't have a quality depth finder or electronics that'll help you find the submerged limbs and branches, use your imagination base on what you can see of the tree. Where should it be in relation to the stump, trunk, and where the tree fell? To ignore fishing such good cover is to turn your back on some great fishing opportunities. You know, as a youngster growing up, I think everybody can relate to the story I'm fixing to tell, had a particular bait that they really enjoyed fishing. I know my favorite bait when I was growing up, my very first bait was a jitterbug. But as time passed, creek fishing, pond fishing, my number one go-to type bait was an inline spinner. And there were very few farm ponds within a 10-mile radius of my home that didn't see my inline spinners. They saw them quite often. As I said, it was perhaps my number one lure back then, and today it's still one of my all-time favorites. What is it that makes these lures so attractive to fish? These straight spinners create a tremendous amount of reflections when they're turning underwater, in the form of an oblong, flashing, three-dimensional shape that looks like a live minnow cruising along. You know, about the only negative thing that I can say about these baits is that they will often hang when they hit cover. But when cover is present, visible or not, you can usually catch fish around it if you're careful. And with that said, I'll tell you what, we've talked long enough. Let's head to the lake and we'll talk some more when we get there. But let's see if we can catch a few bass on them. I bet we can. Want to bet? Come on. Whoa. Come here, Bubba. Okay, let me tell you something. When fishing any inline spinner, it's important to remember that if you insist on fishing the lure just under the surface, you might miss catchable fish, especially aggressive fish. Now what happens here, the fish, a charging fish especially, actually pushes the bait forward, causing him to totally miss the hooks. Plus, the angler usually reacts by setting the hook and pulling the lure even further away. Now, I personally have my best success by working the lure at least 1 to 2 feet under the surface. Say, 1 to 2 feet deeper below the surface. Yep, inline spinners are so basic, yet so generally and naturally appealing to most fish. They can catch them even when you fish them without fully understanding them. Naturally, learning all you can about how and where to use them will result in even more fish. Where are you going? Come this way. Oh man. Look at here. Whoa, boy, look at hell. Oh yeah. That's a toughie. I'm gonna horse him that white line. Pretty fish. Oh, come on back up. I know it's a light line, and it's a pretty one too. Okay, slide right up here. Whoa, what a nice one. Let me tell you, these things come in a bunch of sizes and colors, with many different blade designs and color blades. But some are just plain with just a hook, others are dressed with hair wrapped around the hook, and some have plastic minnows attached. All work under certain conditions, but you'll find after fishing them, you'll have your favorites just like me. Now, one of mine is like what we're using today. It's Bass Pro Shop's 1/4 ounce Tournament Series Micro Spin, and it's white and silver with a blade that puts out a ton of reflection. What bass in his right mind could let this bait go by without giving it a punch? Yep, spinners have a lot of history about them, and their true strength is versatility. So, if you haven't fished one lately, well, there's no better time than now to give one a fling. Good luck, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.